Welcome back to the 1009 podcast. We've got back-to-back weeks. I know it's a shocker, but another great week of March Madness. We're joined here by the boys again. How's it going, guys? I know Jacob's out and about right now, but he's
looking at
grinding with us.
affordable housing. The podcasting hasn't really came through like we initially thought a year ago. So
yeah, Remax sponsor us. What other housing companies are there?
When we started this a year ago, I thought we'd end up in Beverly Hills. Now I'm looking at Section 8, so it's just been a whirlwind.
Hell, I'm still living with the parents for free rent.
Listen, I'm living with my bosses, right now too for free. So, shout out them if they're listening.
My dad at least is. So
I hope they're not for your sake, Jacob. But...
Shout out Big B's dad. He's a real one, playing stump hitter.
Yeah. So that's that. Grayson's the actual only adult living on his own with a job, paying rent.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you this. I would suggest if you can find an opportunity for you not to pay rent.
It's awesome. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
I've yet to try just not paying it. That may become something I explore, but
I don't know if that'll quite end up well for you.
So, yeah, there's that. That's our current living situation. But March Madness was in full effect. Last time you've heard from us, we were pro Clemson being in March Madness, and Grayson thoroughly went over that and probably summed up all of our feelings.
Yep.
So we're just gonna leave that at that. Fiber, I know. But yeah, the real 64 teams, 68 teams or whatever got into play this weekend, and there were some madness per usual.
Yeah, I mean, I think Grayson said it last week, right? That every year there's been at least one double-digit seed make the Sweet 16, and this year it's Princeton out of all people. So
there's usually several, honestly. But yeah, this year Princeton is the one. St. Peter's was last year. Back-to-back years with a 15 seed in the Sweet 16, which is just unfathomable. But I mean, we can add Princeton and Farley Dickinson to the list of schools with better programs than Clemson. That's always a nice annual tradition to kick off the madness. These small schools with 10% of the resources Clemson does, none of the excuses and all the results.
Right.
So
they just play ball.
Guys, they also
keep
recruit.
It down to the basics.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Clemson out, it kind of sucked, and then we also proceeded to prove to the world on national television why we didn't belong to the field. So, but Clemson aside, I'm tired of talking about Clemson. There's a 26-minute rant of me bitching about it if you want to hear that. So I will start and end the Clemson talk there, at least basketball-wise this week. The tournament has been incredible. I think this is a rare scenario which there's always parity because of the madness, but I think that in a year where we really didn't know, I mean, Houston up there, Sasser injury, maybe not. Alabama, no one overall seed, has looked pretty strong. Dependable shooting from the Tide as always. I just think that it's tough, even as we sit here 2 rounds in with 2 1 seeds gone. I think Purdue was the one a lot of people expected to be out.
Yeah, I had them losing in the second
brackets. Round. That was one of the rare, really, really good picks I had where I had FAU defeating Purdue, at least giving Purdue the honor of defeating a 16 seed, as 1,200 teams have done, except for Virginia, but they couldn't even do that. So that was one of the more fun games to watch, honestly, because it was just 2 programs that have done really well, kind of in the shadows. FAU, I think, lost 3 games all year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right. And FDU, a school that didn't win their conference tournament, they were in because, and this team escapes me now that I'm
Merrimack.
But you might be right there. I'll have to look it up. But won their conference tournament, but they're within 3 or 4 years of transitioning to Division I, so ineligible for the postseason.
Which is the dumbest rule ever.
That's so stupid, you can't believe it's even real. So, but it provided us with this. So,
would you rather be Purdue or Clemson basketball?
Purdue.
Past 3 years, you'd rather be Purdue?
Yes.
Past 3 years, yeah. Where did they lose again? Not the NIT.
And they also won their conference tournament,
not
too.
Not the CBI. They win their conference.
would you rather be? Well, see, here's the thing. Would you rather be unnotable or a laughing stock?
Would you rather be coached by Shaka Smart, who loses in the tournament, or Brad Brownell, who's allergic to it?
Here's the thing:
'Cause
we
that's
were
a
both
whole
one
nother-
seeds that lost.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough. I bet a Purdue fan would argue otherwise right now.
Well, in the wake of this, yeah, I think that's fine.
Right.
Zach Edey is one of the more fascinatingly unathletic people I've ever seen
I
in
think
my
he'll be
life.
a bust. He's gonna be a bust.
I don't think he has an NBA future, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Is he even going to get drafted in the first round?
He'll be a lottery pick probably just because he's
so.
his
I don't
size.
think
He's not gonna be a
I
lottery
bet.
pick. I don't.
He's not going to be a
Everybody
lottery
was
pick.
talking about it.
Tyler
Everyone's
Hansbrough
talking
was
about
in the
him being
NBA
the
for 15
number
minutes, and he was 10
2,
times
3.
better than this kid. So I don't know. I mean, who is the kid? Jabari Parker, another example of you can dominate in college because you're big, and then that's just kind of where that ends.
Jaleel Okafor.
Right, who went like number 2 overall.
Marvin Bagley,
Yeah.
Marvin Bagley. Mo Bamba.
Amir Sims.
I see Zach Edey mocked 44th overall to the Thunder,
Taco
who like
Fall.
athletic players, so that will not happen. But
I don't know. I kind of like Edie on the Thunder.
I think we have this Chet Holmgren kid who might show some promise in the paint with some athleticism.
He might break a bone or two.
That's
Dude,
fine.
Imagine Chet Holm. Wait, what pick do you guys have in this upcoming draft?
It'll be just outside the lottery, probably. 'Cause I think we make the play-in.
Oh, okay. So you're not in competition for the one.
No, absolutely not. No.
You're not getting win by
Will you trade every pick that you guys have accumulated for the next 4 years for the first overall pick?
No.
Panthers are doing it.
You wouldn't trade all of those picks for Victor Wembanyama?
No.
Him and Chet Holmgren would be like Slenderman out there.
Right, but why would you spend half a decade almost
Giddy?
accumulating these picks and actually getting the draft picks right to put it all on one kid?
What are draft picks for though?
Chet Holmgren.
Brother, you can only put 5 guys on a court.
Right. We have a good
So make
5 right
one of
now.
them- Make one of them a generational talent.
No, generational prospect.
Talent.
Prospect.
I think those are one and the same.
Jaleel Okafor and LeBron James are not one and the same, and they went 1 and 2. I'm just telling you.
Jaleel
That's how
Okafor-
quickly. I mean, the process Sixers missed on first-round picks like every single year, and they got Embiid right. He didn't even play the first 2 years,
Exactly. So you're obviously
and they
saying,
still
like,
have not won anything doing that. By
Yeah.
the way,
So point being, first round picks are a gamble. So get the most secure prospect of the last 10 years.
but I'd rather have the GM that's the best at identifying those in the last 15, rather than hedge and bet absolutely everything, going all in for no reason for a kid that could absolutely just not. I mean, Rudy Gobert was the last French superstar, and I mean, how's that worked?
You guys have 0 superstars.
We have Shea. He's a
Shea,
superstar.
yeah.
And I mean, Jalen Williams,
All-star.
who got picked 12th, is the top, I'd say, conservatively 5 rookie this year. So, I mean, that's
Jalen Williams, Santa Clara.
yes. I mean, the other one leads the league in charges. So, I mean, there's no
Which kind
wrong
of charges?
choice there.
Federal or?
No, not the NATO's kind.
Yeah. I guess it's different though if it's like Kevin Durant, rather than like a prospect.
Right.
Sore subject, but yeah.
Well,
I
we
can do that.
we tend to get some guys with more integrity nowadays, which is a nice change. But I think that, yeah, I see your point.
Yeah. I'm a big fan, as you guys know, from like discussing like these like, good God, that's bright. These like Jalen Ramsey trades and everything. I'm a big fan of like trading picks to like for proven like guys.
Yeah, me too.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, a guy like Scoot Henderson, who we've seen on this side of the ocean playing in a decent level of competition, at the pro level. A guy who's expected to go second or third, depending on what you think about Brandon Miller. But that's just a whole nother debate. Would you rather have a guy out of college?
Good
He's
facilitator.
getting whispers as a second overall prospect in the class. He's top 3.
Yeah, I mean,
but
yeah. Who
there's
else
a
would it
debate to
be?
be had.
Oh, that other league guy.
Scoot Henderson, the guard. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, Brandon Miller, great shooter. So.
No, he's a great facilitator. He's not a shooter.
Right.
We know that.
right.
He'll get you there and line up the shot,
Yeah.
but you're gonna have to take it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's a lot of
So,
basketball talk for us.
That's
NBA
probably more
wise,
NBA than we've had in a while. But I mean, I think tournament wise, how are you guys brackets looking overall? I know I lost Marquette and Kansas Final Four wise.
Yeah, I had Kansas. Y'all called me crazy for having Furman though, and
I also had Furman, Bailey.
I said I was going to pick the wrong South Carolina team to pull the upset, and then I picked Charleston and not Furman.
Yeah.
And I was exactly right.
You did say that.
You know,
That's hilarious.
I mean, they were there. If there was a Furman College of Charleston matchup,
It would have been electric.
it would have
awesome.
put Clemson and South Carolina's basketball programs to shame. Granted, it already did with them being in the tournament. But
it already did. Yeah.
I'm going to my bracket right now.
Yeah,
What do you? What's else Final Four? Just
well, I had Kansas.
guys?
Yeah, I've got Houston, Alabama left, so everybody else does. So.
So you're 2 for 4, Grayson.
Yes.
Bailey, what are you?
I'm pulling mine up right now. It's not great.
I
My
still
Final
have
Four was Alabama, Duke, Kansas, and Texas. So 2
for
are
4.
still in play.
Yeah, I got 3 out of 4 still. So I got Alabama, Memphis, which is out, and then I had Texas and then UConn. So, which UConn is looking good.
That's looking
Yeah.
like a very
But they're-
attractive.
Yeah.
As
If they
much
get
as
past the
it's-
must bus, yeah.
Yeah. Which
as
hey,
popular it is to say, they are a March team. Like a couple
so
years
is
ago with
Must
Shabazz
Bus,
Napier.
though. So is Must Bus.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
at what point do we start acknowledging Eric Musselman as one of the better tournament coaches in the country?
I think now.
Well, I think Tom Izzo, is at the top of that conversation, deservedly so.
Yeah.
Well, I think he fell off, but I think this tournament run might put him like back up there.
Right. I think that, as a
Has Izzo won
7
a
seed.
title?
Sorry?
Has Izzo won a title?
Yeah.
One.
In 15,
It's like-
maybe.
Yeah. No. It was early on, I think.
I think they lost in 15.
Tournament champions, 79, 2000. Okay. Yeah, they won in 2000, and they lost in the title game in 2009, made a Final Four 2019, 2015. Okay, so I was warm there. But, I mean, this team is littered with tournament success. Tom Izzo in year 28, I believe. So I think that's just, again, he's not, racking up titles. That's extremely hard to do at the college level. The John Wooden days are long gone in college basketball. But
I mean, look at Calipari. He only has one.
Right. It just goes to show how hard it is. Even Coach K and Roy Williams,
That's
closer to us.
I mean, everyone that judges like programs or coaches always goes off Final Fours. Like tournaments.
That seems to be the standard. Yeah.
Right. Like championships are like kind of the icing on the cake that might be like a differentiator if there's 2 guys that are similar. Like everyone's like, oh, he's been to like 8 Final Fours.
But
Is that
that
what people are gonna
format
start-
is one of the more difficult postseasons to actually get through.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Is that what people are going to start saying about college football coaches with the playoffs, or is it still strictly national
Not in
championships?
12. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
If it was,
It's only been the playoffs only been around for like 6-7 years.
but like that 6-7 years has been half of Dabo's career.
Right. So it may lend to guys like him who came up, during that era. But I think
Kirby Smart is going to be a playoff judged.
Right.
No
And you
one's
could say
No one's judging teams off playoffs. No one's giving Washington credit for making the playoffs. No one's
Michigan
giving
State,
Michigan
Yeah,
State
they were in the
Florida.
playoffs.
No one's giving
Oklahoma
Florida
to
State
get their
credit.
ass kicked every year. I mean, that's
Right.
I think Oklahoma's made more playoffs than Georgia, and I mean, that's how quickly.
I think
you
they're
can
about
go.
the same.
So.
Yeah.
Right, appearance wise. Speaking of Georgia, though, we can get off on tangents in football too.
Your guy,
Brandon
Grayson.
Streeter is a Bulldog. The Saban rehabilitation program seems to be
You're welcome. You're welcome.
opening up a sister establishment in Athens. Or honestly,
Shit,
if
we took on Terry Bowden, baby.
Yeah.
they could see
Hey,
Mike Bobo
we
in
got
the
him a head
spring
coaching
game
job.
and demote him, honestly. So who knows what's going to happen there. But
Yeah.
whatever it takes for Tennessee not to enjoy any success whatsoever, I am all for it. So
we've
best
seen
of luck to
Kirby
Brandon
do
Street.
this so far. I mean, he's got
Right.
Muschamp, he's got Bobo. Both failed South Carolina coaches.
The guy that just went to the Ravens was an ex-head coach.
Todd Monken, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a dumb move. I think it's a move to get information on Clemson's recruiting practices more than anything.
Oh yeah, we know he's going to be spilling beans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but do we think Georgia really is that interested in our recruiting practices?
Because we recruit Georgia. Georgia recruits. We recruit the same people.
Right.
So they want to know what we're doing.
I'm not asking because I think this is essentially true, but if you look at recruiting rankings, when's the last time we were ahead of Georgia?
Well, I think that the discrepancy in recruiting rankings honestly begins with the issue we've had for a long time, and that's time it takes to offer kids, amount of offers that we have on kids,
right,
and the amount of walk-ons we give.
We're one of the more selective programs in the country, save for service academies and Stanford, as far as offer volume and when it happens.
Right.
Which is done fine, to be completely clear.
Quantity.
I mean, we won 2 titles in 3 years, been to 4 of them. So there is proof in that model. I don't see Georgia doing that, but I mean.
Yeah, but our model, the titles that we won were never off of like amazing recruiting classes. They were off of getting a generational quarterback prospect.
Yeah, because that year that he came in, because I was like, what, a number one class or had a bunch of number one guy? Trevor, sorry, when you said generational quarterbacks, he was really the only one that played an insane amount. I mean, Justin Ross was obviously used a lot, but like Xavier was not buried. KJ was redshirted. Like those guys, they didn't make a quite immediate impact, but
right behind NFL guys.
Yeah,
which happens at Georgia too, honestly.
Yeah, we saw that with the TCU game when their second stringers came in and it's like all freshmen and they were like playing better than the
right.
We are gonna be so good next year. If Garrett Riley can lead that TCU team to a national title,
yeah,
we are gonna be so good for 2 years until he takes the Texas job.
Hopefully off a championship, but yeah, I think you're right.
Correct. Yeah.
That window is exactly where I would put that relationship at.
He's either I hate to say it, he's either training the next offensive coordinator to come up, or Dad was already looking around, being like, all right, we're going to keep an eye on this guy for the next couple of years, looking at other coaches.
I mean, if he's there longer than 3 years, something disastrous happened. That's it's mutually beneficial that he does depart. Based off of success.
If we are in year 4 of Garrett Riley and he is still at Clemson University 4 years from now, something has gone terribly wrong.
His family's being held hostage at the facility or something.
Or we absolutely unloaded the Brinks truck.
Texas would give him $20 million a year.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, honestly.
That's true.
If he wins the national championship with Katie Klubnik, after our wet blanket of an offense the past couple years, Texas will give him any amount of money that he wants.
Texas A&M might do the same.
Texas A&M.
Any school in Texas, really. Texas Tech, maybe not as much.
Texas Tech does not have that money.
Where did he go to school?
He was at ECU for. That's the other one. Never mind.
Oklahoma.
He went to Texas Tech.
He's not going to Texas Tech. He's too big time for Texas Tech.
He could have gone to Texas Tech.
I'm just saying that's.
Yeah, he can go there now. He can go to Texas Tech right now.
But they hired a coach a year ago, I think. So that just.
But Garrett Riley can obviously got a head coaching job. Obviously. He could have
absolutely.
But he's waiting for one, and we don't know what that is. But he has a list of 5.
But we know it's not Clemson, unless
Here's
Davos shocks the world Andrew Luck style and
goes to Alabama or something.
What if Arch Manning gets Texas back to prominence? Is that going to keep what's his face job that much longer?
No.
I mean, Texas is a hypothetical, but Arch Manning, I think that Texas is just a placeholder for like school with a lot of money, and Texas, Arch Manning, first off, could be the greatest NFL prospect to ever walk the face of the earth, and they will win 9 games.
Yeah.
They will win 9 games. They will somehow
Right.
make the playoffs at 9-3, but they will win 9 games.
Because they'll find a way to like win the Big Ten, or they'll be ranked so high and just win the right games, or
Right.
lose the right games.
And they'll lose, and like Archman will have like a bum ankle, and everybody be like, "Hey, but
Yeah.
he was healthy."
Or they lose by 1 or something like that. Like, or they'll lose on a weekend like when 5 top people ahead of them or 5 below them lose, and so they just drop a spot.
Right. We lost to Pitt. Penn State lost that night. A couple other things went our way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Garrett Wright's going to get paid handsomely. I mean, and he's not going to have some BS list like PJ Fleck where he's like, Minnesota is my dream school. Like, what?
Who's
so?
You go from where was he before?
It would be even less believable. So
Western Michigan. I mean, you got to think his schools have to be Texas A&M. Most jobs in the SEC outside of Mississippi State, Ole Miss.
I mean, he's going to get
Vanderbilt.
at least $8.5–9 million a year.
As
Like the
first
conversation
job?
starts there.
Yeah, it starts at 8. Starts.
And he wouldn't work in the Big Ten,
No.
Pac-12. I mean, outside of like USC and Oregon, but they got their
he really
coaches.
would.
USC's also going to the Big Ten next year, or whatever.
That's true. God damn.
So it's UCLA. So that conference may cease to exist, at least in the fashion we understand it as now. So
Word on the street is Washington and Oregon are going to the Big Ten as well. So
you can't be the last one on the sinking ship. So I think
correct.
that's,
Correct. Yeah, I mean, not to get like too political here, but it's literally why that bank failed. It's like,
right.
if there's a lot of speculation, like the bank might fail because they don't have liquidity. You can't be the last one to pull your money out, so that it starts the bank run. And that's kind of the same thing like with the Pac-12 and media rights. It's like, well, if we're sitting here like as Utah and Pac-12's defunct, like where are we going to go?
The smoke can be worse than the fire, ultimately.
Right. Yes.
but-
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I mean, that started with Streeter, and that got way into college football. But veering back to the sport currently going on in March Madness, Jacob, you're a Vols fan when they're winning, and they won this weekend against Duke. So what do you think about the Vols this year?
Questionable antics.
I am a fan of the Vols when they're winning.
So we won't bring up baseball. I got swept. Okay, so we'll stick to basketball.
I have some thoughts on Tennessee baseball, but that's okay.
Give me the Rick Barnes Vols first. They get Florida Atlantic later this week. A very interesting matchup that, frankly, if you had in a bracket, you're either a genius or a liar. I mean,
yeah.
The problem with this matchup, and I'll let you give your thoughts after this is the game that Rick Barnes loses.
Yes, I know.
Because you beat Duke.
Yeah.
You know, that's
And you
where
have
everybody
such a
had
clear
you
shot.
losing.
You have such a clear shot. You have such a clear shot in the Elite Eight.
Right. Now, seed-wise, Tennessee is the 4, Duke is the 5, whatever. Duke was favored in this game. Duke, a conference champion, led by a first-year head coach. Whatever. Duke was expected to win this game, and that's just not the spots that Rick Barnes runs into trouble. It's these games, and they are currently a favorite of just inside 2 possessions, 5.5 points.
Dude, this bracket could not have played any better for Rick Barnes. It couldn't have.
100%. The 1's gone, the 2's gone, and the 3's gone, and the 5's gone.
Yeah.
Literally.
So they played. No,
I'm
3's
sorry.
still there.
The 3,
still there.
Kansas State's still there.
And they're not like a real 3. I'm sorry. They're
Yes, they are.
Nope.
But yeah, so you beat FAU, which once like you said, Barnes slip up spot to the max.
I'm just telling you, and I hate it.
And you're like,
Quick
damn.
pause. A Rosarena just robbed a homer.
Ooh, that matters.
Who cares?
That's big.
Who cares?
Sorry. Continue. And he pimped robbing a homer. I didn't know that was possible.
Okay. But yeah, this is the Barnes game. This is when this happens.
I mean, I don't want to say this because I know it's going to jinx them, but if Rick Barnes wins this game, I might bet on them to win the national title.
My thing is, to this point, have they really had any heavy expectations on them given the point guard injury? The Sweet 16 was kind of looked at as like, this is where all bets are off. We have no expectations going forward, even playing a 9 seed. I mean,
if the thing is, like, Tennessee can just play defense. They can.
right.
So if they just hit some outside shots, they can beat a lot of teams.
And we saw that this weekend.
They throttled Duke.
Yeah, that game was almost close the entire game. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Yeah, it was never close, but it was always like, Duke.
It wasn't over, but yeah, it was right.
Yeah. So, yeah, if Rick Barnes wins this one, man.
If we commit the fatal mistake of looking past the Owls, who would you rather them see for a trip to the Final Four, Kansas State or Michigan State?
Oh, Kansas State, absolutely, not even close. Kansas State, dude. Kansas State just I'm scared of brands in the tournament.
Right, but we just saw Kansas and Duke go down, to be fair. But I do see your point there.
Yeah, I mean, this is not me thinking of like any knowledge whatsoever.
Right.
Let's see it. I'm going back. So Kansas State.
He's signing balls in the middle of a game.
Kansas State beat a good Kentucky team. A good Kentucky team that's finally healthy. And then Michigan State also beat a good Marquette team.
Led by one of the worst tournament coaches that Shaka Smart.
Correct.
You can move him anywhere in the country you want to. That guy, since the VCU days, cannot win a tournament game with a gun to his head. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
My bracket did not reflect this trend. I had the Final Four. So Shaka Smart again, absolutely shafting my attempt at calling this thing right.
Right. Yeah.
It defies any form of logic you could possibly have. I just, again, though, I was telling Bailey before we hopped on and started hitting record, me picking Shaka Smart to beat Tom Izzo was the stupidest pick of my entire bracket. Like, I feel like such an idiot for doing that.
It's so crazy that, like, the coaches actually matter.
Oh, they do. Mentally, if nothing else, like, Shaka Smart had to have been a head coach that entire day. It's like, I have lost 7 of 8 tournament games. I'm going against Tom Izzo, who has coached or won more games in the tournament I have coached in my life. And that must have been what it was. And we always see a team outside of the top 5 seeds. I won't say always, but in past tournaments, it seems to be a trend where the seeds add up to just over 12, and that usually takes a team like a Michigan State and Arkansas potentially. They can get past a really, really good UConn team. So I just think that the potential is there for a team like that. Bailey, your Cats unfortunately fell to this Kansas State team. I mean, where are you sitting as far as this East region? Who you think comes out of it with hindsight only having 4 teams left in it?
Yeah, at this point, Kentucky just can't win, it seems like, in March Madness. It's gone back-to-back years of just early exits. And then a couple years earlier, just really not doing any showing, really. I mean, I had Memphis, Duke, Kentucky, and Michigan State in my Elite 8 or Sweet 16. And that's just not right at all.
Yeah.
So
I had FAU, Duke,
yeah. And I had Duke going to the Final
Kansas
Four.
State, so
Hey, I know y'all been going over it. It's probably going to end up being a Tennessee Kansas State matchup.
I'm not ready to say that yet.
If you're asking me right now, I think it will be Kansas State, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I love to shit on Rick Barnes, but him, and I say this very, very carefully, him losing to Florida Atlantic would be unfathomable. And I say that realizing he lost to Oregon State by 20 recently in the first round of this tournament. So I think that you'd be very, very careful daring Rick Barnes to shock us with ineptitude. But I think that, as fun as it is to make fun of Tennessee with all the trash talk and none of the actual success, I think this is actually set up perfectly, like Jacob said, for an Elite 8 run. And then who knows?
And the storybook is there for Kansas State too, with
Tang, the coach, absolutely.
No,
and Keontae Johnson as well.
Yeah. With him being there, and it's just like, all right, this dude literally died on the court, and he's out here balling. Like, that's just not looking great.
Yeah, I mean,
Counter-
there's so many storylines in March. It's one of the best parts about it. We talked about FDU a bit already, but their coach has become one of the more infectious personalities of the whole tournament. Unfortunately, their run lasted 2 games, but I think that as we really get deep in the tournament, storylines like that are pretty common, which is great. Honestly, it's awesome to have at least something to root for with every team. You feel like you can't go wrong, even if your bracket's destroyed and your teams either don't make it or don't make it as far as you would have hoped. There's always something to be able to root for on and off the court. Except if you're an Alabama fan, then you're just scum of the earth, and that's just it. Looking. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna talk with the Alabama thing. Like, I'm just trying to think of if that was to happen to Clemson. I'm trying to think of the spin zone I would have.
Well, we can actually look
it.
at what would happen if it happened to Alabama football, because there's a player with pending charges related to marijuana and weapons in the car, and he was suspended immediately because Nick Saban, a man of actual faith, actual integrity, did the right thing, suspended him immediately. He's expected to compete for a starting spot, so you can't use the excuse that he was a freshman, wouldn't play anyway. I think that's a cop-out that's probably being used by Tide fans on social media right now. But go ahead, Jacob.
To be fair, no charges. No charges were pressed.
Right, and you have to throw that in there too. And I apologize for not leading with that. No, he's not being charged with anything.
You do also have to point out that it is happening with Tuscaloosa police. Oh,
that's a crapshoot.
There's a lot of
that could have ended much worse.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just purely speaking factual here. It happened in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and he was an Alabama basketball player on the #1 team in the country.
The best player on said team.
Correct. That is. I will not speculate.
And the players directly involved were charged immediately.
I believe SNL, that lawsuit with SNL, protects us here. So I'll just say it. He's a killer. Okay, he needs to be in prison forever. I don't care if he only brought the gun. My guy was literally as text messages leaked of him texting the guy, being like, "All right, I'm bringing it, and by the way, it's loaded." You know how many guns that I have that are loaded? None.
And you're not bringing that to someone to use as a hammer or something like that. It's just there's one purpose for it at that point.
When has someone ever bringing a gun to someone else ended well?
Not a single time, ever.
Not a single time.
Especially when it's to escalate an argument of any form. I guess my thing is not even morally, how does it speak on you as the leader of a program in Nate Oast where you're arguing proximity to a murder?
He did not help. He did not help the cause at all.
Like, he wasn't this close. He was like this close. Like, at that point,
you lose me.
Not that your name being in a police report should end your career, because we've seen that go a whole bunch of different ways, and a lot of things can happen with that and how accurate things are. But like, to your point, we have text messages. We know this happened. We know exactly how it happened.
Right.
This wasn't I didn't know he was going to do with it. I didn't know it was loaded. You can't argue any of those things. It's these text messages.
This was not a gun found on campus. This
No.
was somebody being murdered.
Like, you had to, I don't know if he loaded it, and I don't know. That doesn't matter. He got in a car with the gun. I think he left it in the car. I don't know. Again, if you're arguing semantics, you're missing the whole point here.
Yeah.
He knew it was in the damn car when he went.
If you're trying to prove the guy innocent, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And
again, should he be in prison? That doesn't really concern me. Should he be playing right now? No.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, if he's in prison, if he's not, whatever. But he should not be playing for Alabama basketball right now.
Right. I'm going to stop at the court, and I don't think he should be on it. And I don't care how good he is, how good the team is. It doesn't matter.
Was he suspended a day?
I don't think he missed.
I don't think he was suspended. No.
Because he played that South Carolina game and dropped 41. Like, as soon as it came out.
No, I think he didn't play, and then that was his first game back or something.
It's one of the two. He was
when the incident first occurred, I don't think we were actually aware of his involvement.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that was also
damning.
a while before, though. Wasn't it? Because that
Right, 'cause
happened
I think
earlier this year.
the actual alleged shooter was like arrested for capital murder within hours. It happened overnight. By the time we woke up and read about it, he was already in jail, which
Which is
what should have
crazy that
happened.
we couldn't easily identify the 6'6" shooting guard for Alabama.
Well,
Literally.
they could,
Shooting
and that's why we
guard.
didn't know about it for a month. I think
Right.
is if he had been the 5'10" water boy, then we would have known. But
Right.
I think that, like the guy that pulled over Jalen Carter and wanted to like be buddy with him and get him to sign his cruiser, I think that that's just kind of how that goes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you don't think it happens in Clemson, South Carolina, at smaller towns than those two? Then
Yeah, when there's 4 cops that are always downtown or somewhere.
Clemson has a food road, an alcohol road, and the football stadium. That is it. That is the entire town of Clemson, if you have not driven through it.
And players that wreck into postal services.
Allegedly.
half of all highway patrolmen in this entire state are in Clemson,
Donna
South
Bullock,
Carolina.
son.
Yeah, for like the Furman
Donna
game. Like this is not.
Love that woman.
Right.
Yeah.
Love Don. If you're listening, you're the goat.
And Don, if you're listening, why? Why? Never
Why
mind.
what?
Never mind.
Well, she's busy leading
no,
on the best basketball program in Clemson right now. So.
Yeah, a team that can win NIT games.
Is halfway to make another one. They were up at halftime when I hit record. Let's see.
Speaking of programs at Clemson that are on one, Jacob, state of the baseball program.
State of the baseball program, and Grayson, interrupt me whenever you find the score. State of the baseball program.
They can hit.
There's not a lot of talent on this roster. There's not a lot of talent.
A coaching change will do that.
Our most talented guy just finally hit our most talented guy, quotation marks for you listeners, just hit his first home run of the season this past weekend.
You Grice is our most talented player. I'm not going to ever watch a baseball game with you.
Quotations.
You could put should be in front of it and maybe get me there.
Yes.
Yeah,
should we have one home run?
Maybe.
If he is this big two-way player and like all the recruiting that came out with him.
He wasn't a highly recruited guy.
But the hype around him when he got to Clemson though. It's like, oh, this guy, he's gonna pitch, he's gonna play, he's gonna hit all these bombs. That's what he does, and then
Yeah, but I get that, but just, he was never like a top 50 guy. Like he was a good player. But
he was a South
no one
Carolina
ever
guy.
hears about Cam Canarella hit 600 his senior year, and also threw like 60 innings with like a .7 ERA with like 100
Pretty sure
Ks.
he's got like a 14-game hit streak right now.
It broke, but yeah.
No, he got it. He got it in the last AB.
No, it broke last weekend.
Really? Hold on.
Yeah. It was the who did we play last weekend?
There's
It
nobody.
was a Saturday game. It was a Saturday game last weekend. He got broke.
It might have been Engel has
might have been the
that
mid-
hitting streak.
Engel
Might have misread.
Engel's crazy.
Yeah. We knew he would be able to hit.
The state, we just don't have any pitching talent, honestly. I mean,
Should we evaluate bullpen arms in the Ingles parking lot a la Greg Hugel at this point? Like, what do we have to lose at that particular unit? Other than, I mean, I know we have guys hurt, but I think that
Rocco Reed's
Do we
been
anymore?
all right, hasn't he?
I don't know. I'm gonna keep using that excuse until people actually care enough to check. It makes me feel better that I
I
can
think
just
this was like the
say
first week that we
injuries.
had everybody back.
Yeah,
and
we
they
still.
blew an ACC series. So let's
It was also the Sunday. It was also the third game, and pitching was running thin.
That's yeah.
Look. No talent in the bullpen, right? No talent.
None.
Pitch calling and sequencing of pitching does not help our boys.
They could
There's
be
some
set up
things-
better to make up for that.
Yes, correct. Yes, they could be set up better to be a better relief pitching staff. But at this very moment in time, honestly, look, this is honest to God, and I know this, as fact, not as fact, because talent evaluation is not fact, but our Friday, Saturday, and Sunday guys, as it sit right now, all have a chance to pitch in the MLB. That's true.
They have the tools.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Caden is a much better pitcher than he is hitter. Much better.
He pitched well. He went his longest outing this week. Then got in trouble in the fourth.
Caden has an MLB future on the mound. He's 6'7", if he commits to it, he can probably, he can probably throw 97 if he tries, if he really sticks with it. Tristan Smith, the Saturday guy, top 50 guy, probably could have got drafted last year.
Very nice parents. Can confirm.
Very nice parents.
Is that beside me?
Lefty, great metrics on his fastball. He's young, so the stuff doesn't necessarily play like it would in a 1-inning start. Austin Gordon. Okay, let me go off on a little tangent here. Austin Gordon, our Friday guy.
He could swing the season.
Could be an MLB All-Star. If two things have to change. One, he has to get healthy. And two, we have to stop calling cutters down and damn curveballs like he's Clayton Kershaw. He throws 95 with 22 vert and 2,500 spin. Throw 4 seams up and sliders down, and he'll have a 15K per nine because it's college and no one can hit fastballs.
I was going to ask you if you think we call enough off speed for him, but that was a much better answer than I could have gotten out of you. So.
No, we don't call enough fastballs for him, dude.
Right.
The dude, okay. Right. Dude, literally can. I mean, he's scrawny and he's young, so like he doesn't maintain his velo great, but like that's fine. But for the first 4 innings of a game, he should throw 70% fastballs up. He should aim for the middle of the zone, middle, and just throw it. And I promise you, he would have better outcomes than what he's doing right now.
I would rather him try that than continue this. Honestly.
God, we have some good guys, too.
Go back on Friday. Like, go look at that Friday outing. His first 2 innings, he had 4 Ks. And all he was doing was throwing fastball up. His curveball, he doesn't throw, his slider's terrible. But he's got a good little curveball. And sometimes he can kind of shape it. Sometimes he shapes it to be more of like a hybrid gyro slider. But it's got some good break on it. It's slow. It needs to be faster. Whatever. But he went fastball up in that little curveball with a good shape at like 79, 77 low. And it got so many swings and misses. And then inning 5 rolls around, and he's like, I'm going to start throwing cutters. And he obviously doesn't call the pitches, but he threw a cutter inside, and the Duke hitter said thank you and took him deep. And then
he still had 6 strikeouts.
And then he threw.
But it could be 10, is what he's saying.
He had 6 strikeouts against Duke. He had 8 against UCF. But those games with the high strikeouts, he also gave up 6 earned runs against Georgia State, 3 against Duke.
Well, it's because they're moving away from his bread and butter to the point where it's
correct. They're trying to throw cutters right in to a lefty at 88. Okay, yeah, they're gonna see ya.
And that's most of his runs are all home runs. He gave up 3 homers against UCF, 3 against Georgia State, and 2 against Duke.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's either barrel or buy guys at this point.
He throws the worst. I'm fine. Like, if you want to throw a cutter, like, I'm not really, like, with those metrics. But, like, throw them in the right place. Like, throw them in the right location. Like, call them in the right location.
Clemson just won by a point.
Oh, we suck at men's basketball. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we won.
Oh, my God.
Shout out to Amanda Butler leading a competent basketball program, Little John Coliseum. Rye Brownell go to hell.
Was it a home game?
Yes. As was, I believe, High Point, who they beat last week.
Yeah, I knew last week's was.
Yeah, so they continue to dance. And another thing quickly, we'll get away from this, but as I learned today on local radio going to work this morning, I actually got to hear Amanda Butler talk to Qualk and local radio here, which actually I really enjoyed, kind of like Kegel. I didn't expect it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. The women's NIT, you have to apply to host these games. It's not a seed-based thing like Clemson where we're viewed as a good team and then we actually just play like shit. They take crowd into account, things like that, to actually make money doing this. So Graham Neff, to his credit, although he does not do other things he should with basketball coaches, did get behind Amanda Butler and put in the paperwork for that and got approved. And they've now won 2 home games. And even with students on spring break this week, hopefully a lively crowd in Little John tonight. Much closer game, won by 20 last Thursday to open things up, and then another win tonight by a final score of 56-55 as of moments ago. So not all hope is lost in Little John, but we do have a dead program that's actually turning itself around. So that's very nice to hear. And I'm not sure who we would see next. Actually, I do know, because that is win number 299 for Butler, and I believe she'll get a shot at potentially Florida for win number 300, a program that let her go, which is how she ended up in Clemson. So speaking of March storylines, that one may set up very poetically. Florida plays Wake Forest, I believe. I have no idea what that score is, but I kind of want to see her play Florida just to have her coach for a milestone. I'm not sure if we would host that game either, but yeah, things looking up for Clemson women's basketball, which is good to hear. So yeah, that's my official announcement with that. Speaking of women's sports and trending upward, Clemson softball still a wagon. Swept 25? Virginia over the weekend, gave up 1 run in 3 games. Not the same offensive fireworks. 4-1, 1-0, and 2-0. Those 3 final scores as I read them here. But an ACC
we only need to score a run.
Right. An ACC sweep to open conference play at home. I need to really start playing my weekends around these home series because I need to go out and get a boots on the ground tweet for softball as well. We do play South Carolina at home March 28th, but that's a Tuesday, and I will not be able to make that game, unfortunately. But I am going to start making it a point to try and get over there for some of these games, just because, like we've said a couple times now, joking at first, but now not really, that is the best program we have going right now. So I'm going to do my part in supporting that as my work schedule allows. But yeah, I don't know where Virginia ranks in college softball, but
they don't.
Nice sweep.
Virginia Tech's ranked.
ACC play. Yeah, we play Virginia Tech the last series of the year in Blacksburg. That could decide the ACC. So
also, I just went to the NCAA site with like softball to look at the rankings. They haven't updated their games through March 13th. It seems like they do it once a week.
Not surprising. Well, I guess, yeah, that's true too. I guess today is the 20th, but
yeah.
So that's an overview of the programs across the street from Dabo World. I think that's covering just about all of them. Soccer season starting to get rolling in the spring segment of their split into.
I never paid attention to that at all.
But yeah, it's nice to get a little distraction from football. We got into college football anyway, as can happen when ROC gets hired by Georgia of all places. But I mean, that's.
And Dabo made some comments here recently. Speaking of, I don't know. I think I sent it in the group chat, but came out the other day that Georgia Tech and Florida State are playing in Dublin in the Ireland game in the next year or so. And then Dabo came out and said, "Yeah, I would like to do that. I would like to go travel, play games somewhere else. Basketball's always traveling somewhere. All we get to do is travel to Winston-Salem." I'm like, damn, you just throw them under the bus, why don't you? Not like you've been to San Francisco, Dallas, Miami, New Orleans.
Right. I guess I see his point. I'll say on behalf of the student level of assistance there, that would be logistic Armageddon, I think,
Yeah.
is what that would be. Because you've got to get kids out
Back
of
for a bowl game.
class and passports, and that seems like that's moving mountains. Would I love to see it? Sure. Do I expect it to happen? Absolutely not. I think that there's a reason we don't see, I'll say, elite teams overseas. It's the same reason that in the NFL we saw Titans Jaguars on Thursday Night Football for 5 years before those two teams actually got good. So I think that you keep the cream of the crop in the best time slots, and that, at least in the day, happens on Saturday. Now, we'll play teams at noon all the time, but I think that there is very little chance the premier programs of college football, which I think Clemson still belongs to, play in Dublin anytime soon.
Yeah.
As cool as it would be, I would love to see it. I'm just, based off past precedent, I don't see that breaking from tradition there.
That was just one little thing that I saw that we were on the Clemson topic, so
I honestly missed it, so I'm glad you brought it up. I actually missed that. So sorry, Winston-Salem, also known as Nate Wigginsville, but I think that
good and bad.
Well, yeah.
He made the game-sealing play, but he also had about 5 or 6 pass interferences on him, so we're not going to get into that. He made up for it.
It was the
in
reason
Charlotte.
they played 2 overtimes, but he's also the reason they played 3, so that's nice too. This is a tricky time of year. We'll have a baseball preview soon. MLB getting kicked off very, very soon. My World Series favorite.
Electric right now.
Right, Texas, Mexico, and Japan playing right now for the right to lose to the U.S. tomorrow night. So that's an interesting matchup to watch. Hopefully we get Ohtani versus Trout. I want it to happen. I'd rather not watch it in the Freeway Series next year. I'd rather see it now and then never again. But I think that for as much as that was made of the Edwin Diaz thing, I think it's very clear, at least from the players' minds, that this stuff matters.
Yeah.
And I think the media members and Mets fans trying to argue it doesn't are just bitter and stupid. I'll just leave it there.
Francisco Lindor came out and said how much this means to each player. And Lindor obviously is Puerto Rican along with Edwin Diaz. So they're in the same boat. They play for the same club team. They play for the same, it just says this, a lot of times this means more to them than it does playing in the MLB because they're able to represent their country. So, and we see all the emotions. We see guys coming flying out of dugouts. We saw it out of the American team, which
Trey Turner, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, all these guys.
Trey Turner's becoming the goddamn American hero the past couple games.
He's making $30 million a year looking like robbery.
Yeah, but seeing them coming flying out of the dugout for the USA team, which, I mean, they've grown up playing college ball. They know this team atmosphere like things, and we all know it's different in the MLB. But watching past couple WBCs with how the Venezuela team, the Puerto Rican team, the Dominican team, all these other
Cuba
foreign teams,
yeah.
And how much they get into it and come flying out of the dugouts for a double, a strikeout.
And the fans are
so much.
Electric.
Yeah, the fans are amazing.
Right.
You don't get that at MLB games. You get
People
good
argue
atmospheres
that
in
Reds
playoffs.
Pirates on a Tuesday afternoon at 1:30 matters more than
all 10 of those fans. It's gonna
matters more than these fan bases rooting on their countries and are absolutely losing their minds in the second inning of the game, and it's 1-0.
Yeah, and I know it's a much bigger tournament, but looking at it like the World Cup, those players
it's the equivalent. I think that's I love that.
They took half a season break this year because they were playing in December, and that's in the middle of everybody's season for soccer. Mm-hmm. So, and they're out there risking it. So what's the difference?
I mean, do you think moving the World Baseball Classic to after this season would lend to? I mean, injuries always impact guys' careers, but I think that
you don't want to see
the proximity to the season, you almost can't not have the conversation because of, again, Edwin Diaz, the Angels, Olivier Ortega, a reliever, obviously much less known, but also going to be sidelined a month because of this tournament. And again,
Freddie Freeman also got hurt too.
Right. If you ask, Altuve fractured a thumb. These things happen. It's baseball. Injuries happen every day. That's why the 162-game schedule is one of the more grueling as far as length and duration. But I think that if you ask the guys that are hurt, do they regret playing? None of them are going to say yes. Not a
And
single.
Edwin Diaz's wasn't pitching either. It was
Right. It was
celebrating.
Kendrick Morales style in a dog pile. I mean,
Yeah,
that's which again happens in the MLB too. It was
that
10,
can happen
15 years
walking down
ago.
the stairs, for Christ's sakes.
Right. Which is how
Justin Johnson
yeah,
got hurt.
yeah, allegedly.
um,
But
but
I
that
think yeah.
is
Now the event itself is incredible. Always does every year selfishly. But
yeah.
I think that again, I'll give credit to my hero, Mike Trout, for making this lineup possible. I know pitching with insurance and everything else, it's a whole different ballgame. But the lineup, saved the Yankees, who you would think would want to win something, given that they haven't won a World Series in 2009. But Judge and his fraudulent MVP stayed home. But I think that in large part that 1 through 9 lineup led by Trey Turner in the 9 hole. It's been really funny to hear Mark DeRosa kind of giving himself shit about that. But where else are you going to put him? To be honest,
Yeah. I mean,
you've got Hall of Famers 1 through 9.
In these lineups, it does not matter where you hit. Like you're just
No.
there's no way you can fit 9 guys in the 4 spot. Like
Right. And they could exactly. These are all guys that hit 3 and 4. Trey might be a little bit higher, but
Yeah.
I think that the event is incredible. We were robbed of it like so many other great things in sports during COVID and all that. And with international events and travel, it makes it a lot more difficult and something, global is going on like that. So I think that it's nice to have this back on schedule, it would appear. And if they move to after the season,
I get
the
only thing would be in
you just finished
December
the season. Why would you want to go play that?
Yeah, that or maybe just start it in earlier in February or something.
Yeah,
that's like the only other, because that way they can. I know it's like
because your break is November to February, like that's your break.
And I know most of these guys, especially the foreign guys, they're going to get up for it. They don't care when it is. They will stay ready the whole all season for that year, and they will take the hit for that year. So I would see moving it outside of spring training. I know it gets guys kind of ready for real games because it's real baseball, because spring training is too long, just shorten spring training like they did last year. Everybody seemed fine, maybe a little. Pitchers struggled a little bit, but
that's the only
the length.
There.
I think the length of the games. I think majority of the people liked how it was 2 weeks basically, and then let's play ball. Because after the first week of spring training, who pays attention? And I know it's for the pitchers to get ready. I understand that.
But there's sports science behind it, and I'm really actually interested to see what those outcomes are from this year with the unique circumstance of having the classic where it is. But like Ohtani, for example, being at this stage limited potentially in a final tomorrow should they get past Mexico.
But that's all the club. That's all the professional teams being selfish.
Right, and then, honestly, if you got like Ohtani, you have to
you got.
I mean, that's
I mean, I don't mean it that way, but you know what I'm saying.
Oh, right, they're protecting their own interests before they care about the player that wants to play. Yeah, no, that's exactly what they're doing.
They're protecting their moneymaker.
Right, because if Ohtani goes out there and gets hit with a comebacker in the wrist, then everyone in the Angels front office is getting fired. So I think that, which is going to happen when he leaves anyway. But I think
we saw that with the Mets,
right, and I hate that's how this whole dialogue started about where to put it, when to play it, and all this stuff. It's inevitable. It just is. Every World Baseball Classic injury that has happened this year happened 12 times last year.
Yeah,
in April probably.
It would be I was going to say put it in the middle season, but that's impossible. You can't have guys I thought about it and I'm like, well, what are those other guys going to do?
That would be incredible, but just no. Logistically,
that was the only way that soccer was going to be able to do it, because of the summer heat. That's the only reason why they played it in December. But
they took Braves to play it in a place where it gets to be 130 degrees Fahrenheit all the time. So I think that ultimately it's amazing to watch. I'm glad we have it in any form or fashion. Again, we missed it because of COVID, but now, like a lot of things, it's getting back on track and back into the normal rhythm of things. So we'll have an MLB preview soon. I think it's going to be a good season. It's make or break for my Angels. Braves in a weird spot where they're actually not under the most pressure in the NL East. I think it was the Mets for a lot of the year last year, but I mean, you're repeat champion. That bullseye does not go away.
No.
So I think that the NL East may be one of the more fascinating divisions to watch. The Angels might be one of the more polarizing teams. So will be plenty for us to talk about with our own teams, and obviously zooming out to the league as a whole, it should be an incredible season.
We'll
See if anybody can
our,
beat the Dodgers or the Astros.
Yeah, and we'll have, along with that MLB preview, we'll pick our, like we did first episode I think last year.
Divisions, awards.
Yeah, all that.
Winners,
We'll actually
everything.
write them down and tweet them out so y'all can actually remember and we can remember as well.
Right. I mean, I as the editor, I took the Blue Jays, and I was not putting that out again. So that's why you didn't see that again.
I took the Braves in the East, I think. I don't remember. Oh,
I did too.
Slicing down the line. Yeah. So that's like because we did that with NFL. I don't think we did MVPs though, but
I can't remember. It was wrong in real life anyway, so who cares?
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
Hey,
we'll have
year 2, as Jacob said, is going to be a movie, but
hopefully a thriller and not a horror movie. But we'll see. I think that it's a fun time of year, March Madness. It's impossible to not say winding down because of how action-packed that first 4 days is. We get another round of 4 nights of madness this week, so we'll have a full recap for that. Obviously, like Bailey mentioned, a whole lot of baseball starting really, really soon. Obviously, we'll keep tabs on collegiate baseball and softball as well. But, like football, we're going to lean towards the pro side of it as well. But, we're Clemson fans, Clemson grads. So if Clemson does something positive or negative, you're going to hear about it from us. So,
And you saw that with the Grayson's episode on Thursday or Friday?
Yeah. If you're one of the people who listen to that, I appreciate you very, very much. It took me longer to edit that than it did to record that. We're not in the practice of slinging F-bombs on here yet, and that's something I took part in several times throughout that. Also some shots at players that I deemed to be a bit too immediate emotional after that game. It's not the player's fault. I think that you're only as strong as your leader, and I think the leader is an idiot. So I think that that's the main problem we need to focus on. The players are there trying to do their best, play out their careers, and like so many of Brennan's recruits, escape to more prosperous programs and more success elsewhere. So I think that, I hate that we're losing the guys we're losing, especially because, again, Brownell has no ability to replace them whatsoever. But PJ, I was kidding. Please don't transfer.
Don't go pro. Just feel out the draft and come back. We love you.
Right. Go get your free back. That's why that system's in place. And then come back and maybe play for a new coach for a year. Who knows? Rick Pitino off the board. I was very sad to hear that over the weekend. So,
I know we talked about him. Would you take Shaka Smart back?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure. You would take.
I don't care if he openly says I will lose an NCAA tournament. I don't care if he says I'll lose on purpose.
Get me to the tournament and we'll lose every year. I'll be fine. Don't get enough of the getting to the NIT and losing in the second round or first round every other year, or not even making a tournament. So there's that. I agree.
Yeah. Again, NCAA tournament loser. Yeah. He could be 0-20, and I would take him in a heartbeat for double Brownell's salary and triple his buyout. So I think that, is it a pipe dream? Probably. I think the Texas to Marquette move
right now is a pipe dream.
Well, that too, because who the hell would want to coach there? Richie at Furman, give him $10 million a year. I don't care. I said it off the top. I'm tired of talking about this. But nothing's going to change on or off the court, and until something off the court changes, then on the court will remain the same, and that is disappointing. So that's about all we got this week. Quickly, Panthers, Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
The Panthers still with a cachet of weapons you could probably walk through TSA with, but I still think it's an improving situation for presumably a new quarterback. You never know with this organization, unfortunately, but I think that the coaching upgrade may provide some additional brain cells in the draft war room, so that's always a plus, and we'll see.
I just like seeing us make competent moves, it seems like. I just saw that Cam Newton's throwing at Auburn's pro day, so there's that.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it came out today. Frank Reich said that he's not going to rule out height as a measuring stick, no pun intended, for quarterbacks. So that kind of worries me. I would much rather take Stroud over a project like Richardson or a guy like Bryce Young. But I'm not a GM, so I'm getting
Yeah, I
Adam
mean,
Thielen. It's just that veteran dude. Like it's just a veteran, proven guy. I know he's older, but we also, I mean, Hayden Hurst that's a big pickup because our
I
tight
like
end
that a
play has
lot.
been
Yeah.
god awful the past couple of years. So
Right. That's definitely a position they can improve. I think that it is smokescreen season. We have to keep
yes,
that in mind. I
absolutely.
think if they hear wind of a team below them, especially Houston, that prefers Bryce Young, you want to put that in the water just to see if you could finesse them a la the Niners and the Bears the night that Mitchell Trubisky was made QB1 in a draft with Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson in it. I think that if there is someone below you stupid enough to trade up and pick the wrong guy, you let them do it every single time, especially given the picks the Panthers gave up to move to number one. So,
Yeah,
um, do I think they trade down to number one? Ultimately, no. I think that
it would be the biggest mistake because
you run the
with
risk of your guy
yeah,
being gone.
exactly. That's my you got the number one pick. Get your guy. Get out of Dodge.
And you have one chance at this because, to the Panthers' credit, they should never be in this position again.
No,
Even
and
at 9, where they originally were,
yeah,
I don't think they find themselves back there.
I agree. So at this point, depending on what quarterback we get, might be favored for the South. It's going to be a
I
toss up
might
between
take
us
them
and the
now.
Saints. Yeah.
I really might,
So
because they were just north of 3-1, and Derek Carr sucks at the game of football. So
yeah,
I think that
I
that's
agree.
their key.
I never said he was good
So,
ever.
I know it wasn't you, but there are truthers on this podcast who
Yeah.
insist that Derek Carr and his eyeshadow are an elite part of the NFL QB fraternity, which is just not true. So, yeah, I think that things tentatively looking up for the Panthers, which is nice, local-ish team. And it's sure as hell not going well in Atlanta. So that's all we got locally. But yeah,
Yep.
that's the sports week. We'll get into madness, MLB,
All that good
Clemson
stuff.
baseball.
NBA
Hopefully
is kind of just
holding some leads. The NBA is we're getting very, very close to the point in time where we're gonna
yeah,
have to spend 15 minutes on every episode because
yeah.
it's heating up. My Thunder is sitting in the 8th seed, so that's exciting. But these Kings hanging around, they're gonna have home court, but as far as 2 or 3, I think that's up in
Yeah.
the air still. Them and Phoenix are kind of dancing up there. Memphis in that mix as well. So very exciting time. Speaking of parity, the NBA is wide open this year. The East actually better than the West, in my opinion, which has not been true for a long time. So that will be much more in the news and as a result featured here as we get into the playoffs and that as well. So we're going to have a ton to talk about up soon, even
Yeah.
without football, which is always nice. But that's all I got this week.
I ain't got anything either.
All right. We are on Apple and Spotify. If you're listening to us, you already know that. We're also on YouTube. Trying, I guess, to grow that. If you really want to watch us for some reason, we're there. I get every episode up there, even though the file size is atrocious. But, it's just one of those things that kind of just set my laptop aside and get through it. So, yeah, at the 1009 on Twitter, where you can find links for all this stuff. Me and Bailey put out NBA picks. Mine have been embarrassing so far. Bailey's on a bit of a heater, so I would advise you to look towards his picks at the moment until I get things turned around for the playoff start. But yeah, always something on the Twitter. Hopefully, no more Morgan Wallen rants, anything of that nature. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Deuces.